Hello, my name's Eric. I'm host Talking with Famous People, and today we're going to talk with Megabro
Talking with famous people
about plus-minus functions. So the thing that can be a little bit tricky about this, with the plus-minus thing, is that it's two different ways of accomplishing a good as understood through or by that cognitive function. The minus doesn't mean it's like, oh, good SE is helping somebody cross the street. Bad SE is punching him in the face. Not like that. Instead, it's two different angles of understanding the world from the perspective of SE or NE or any other function. So, Megabro, give us one example to show how a cognitive function manifests differently as plus or minus.
Okay, well, plus TE will develop one-off procedures, basically art work. Work is just art that's been reproduced en masse because it's useful. So plus TE will initially do these experimental methodology. Okay, so plus TE tends to be a lot more creative.
More
And
creative.
minus T, right. In fact, artists use it a whole lot.
Okay.
Minus TE is more scientific. It finds out what's physically impossible. It does try to discard ideas that don't make sense and can't be applied.
Things that aren't useful.
talking.
I think a more informative example for, as a first example to get the idea, is the SI example where you said the plus SI is arranging my desk in a way that I've seen, like on Better Homes and Gardens or something. I saw somebody else arrange their desk like this, and I thought that was a good idea, and I copied that idea. That's one way of doing it, of plus SI. But the negative SI would say,
Don't do something unusual.
don't do something unusual. Right. So the problem here is that I did something unusual. In fact, I was experiencing, driving around in the car, I was thinking about the fact that I had, before I left, I'd gone back to open the gate so that Compton could get back in, which also meant the Lazy could get out. But that's standard operating procedure around here. That's just how we rolled, always, for years and years and years. So I have that kind of SI protecting me from guilt, because it's how we always did it. It was nothing unusual I did.
Talking.
The FI one, you said you were having trouble coming up with an example of FI negative or FI positive?
I was having trouble describing FI negative.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the negative charges, okay, the positive charges they pretty much stay in the positive zone. The negative charges can cover the negative zone up to the positive zone.
Okay.
But they first focus on getting rid of the most negative things first, so they can get bogged down on it.
So negative FI would be slamming the door, walking out, and not talking to him again, right? Something like that.
Well, if it's a bad relationship.
Okay.
It would also be trying to make sure that you don't hurt someone else.
Okay. So harm prevention.
So negative FI would actually be in the positive zone when those bad things aren't happening.
Okay. Interesting.
Talking.
And what about, okay, so negative FE would be spiking stuff like Trenton does. Now you guys might think I'm lying, but I'm not lying, and like that shit. Is that negative FE?
Yeah, and it would also be like FE dancing, where you're trying to prevent people from
Getting the wrong
misinterpreting you.
idea. Right.
Right.
And then what's positive FE?
I think it's like influencing people, making them laugh.
Okay. So, yeah, okay.
Convincing them of things.
So it's kind of like positive FE is more true FE where you actually are interested in their feelings rather than their perceptions of you. And negative FE is more of a perceptions thing.
I would say largely yes.
talking,
All right, so what about NE? What's negative NE? Seeing the ways in which shit could be wrong or bad or what?
And it would make fun of them. It would say, "Hey, that's ridiculous."
Okay, well, I have a fair amount of that, I think, don't I? I tend to go there to negative NE sometimes, I think, pointing out things that I don't think are sensible. And positive NE would be, hey guys, here's some ideas that are fun for us, like that.
Right.
Okay.
talking,
And how about SE?
I think positive. Now, SE is a hard one. I've had a little bit of hard time with. But it looks like positive SE is like going out there, directing yourself, having adventures,
And what's negative SE?
trying to prevent the environment from misbehaving in the moment.
It's like
Like,
what Nick was
suppose
doing
you're-
last night. You weren't here, Megabro, but Nick, my SE Dom drummer, was here and getting very impatient with our boring conversation and like being like a bad kid in the back of the class, like making little noises and shit.
What are you guys talking about? Talk about something else. You're still talking about this? Really?
Yeah.
talking,
Positive NI connects things together. And when it does this long enough, it makes a complete picture, or what looks like a complete picture, of what is currently probable, or medium-term future probable.
Okay.
Minus NI will try and defend a future vision against things that could go wrong.
Okay.
So it would be more strategic.
So the drunk guy playing poker had a breakdown of negative NI because he was too drunk,
Right.
as you indicated in your comment. Interesting.
talking,
Megabro makes me want to do research.
I know, me too. I'm like, okay, well, this is
The thing is,
interesting.
I've been doing independent research on the charges. I got positive and negative charges from cybernetics. I didn't get this from socionics. I found out about this later. So the fact that we both have it is coincidental.
Is your definitions a little bit different than socionics definitions?
I think my SE definitions are fairly different, yes. FE as well. SE and FE are different for me.
Can you explain those differences a little bit?
Well, I believe SI is different as well. Socionics doesn't have fo and fum, which is
Right.
what I call the reptilian instincts. So, what I call fum, or the instinct of self-preservation, in socionics has been wrapped up into introverted sensing. Now, they do synergize very well, but they're not the same thing. And fo, the conquer instinct, it's also has to do with the libido and sex drive, has been wrapped up into extroverted sensing in socionics.
I see.
Which is why socionics has SE is very dominant, or force-oriented.
Well, and that's an exception I've taken with socionics a little bit, or I've sort of been like, well, I can see both sides of SE, you know, that on the one hand, it's a very cooperative function because it's about proceeding down an existing course. And then on the other hand, it does seem to correlate with these dominance things. But I like your explanation better, you know, that they've wrapped up some things together that ought not be wrapped up together.
Right. So that's right now my biggest quibble with Socionics is their definition of SE, SI, and FE. FE, they do a fairly good job on FE and like the types and the quadras, but I don't like the way they describe FE in plus and minus.
I probably don't know enough about socionics either, but I can definitely say that their definition of SE, which is something that I have studied because SE Dom, like, I don't align with that personally.
Right. MBTI doesn't wrap up FO into SE, but Socionics does. MBTI just ignores FO and FOM entirely.
Okay.
But Socionics has wrapped up what would be them into SC and SI.
I don't feel like forceful or anything like that.
You need to turn up your badass, JC.
Talking with famous people.
Well, I think I've had enough talking.